Hey, deserving listeners, Ultimatum Season 2 Queer Love. Let's watch.
How are you? Are you okay?
Yeah, actually, I would regret not saying this to you, and I don't know if I'm going to have another opportunity to say this.
Jesus Christ, okay.
I'm just not trusting where Dana and Mel are at.
Why?
I have heard things.
What have
Okay, so Haley wants to talk to Marie on Megan's behalf, right? Haley is in a trial marriage with Megan, and so Haley cares about Megan, and therefore is worried that Megan's going to get hurt by Dana and by extension Mel, and wants to talk to Marie because that's Mel's ex-partner, so to speak. So Haley is talking to Marie about Dana and Mel connecting. Okay.
you heard?
Just like, I don't know. It's hard because like,
Just
I
say
feel
it.
like now we're like,
Just say it.
I've heard that they've like been much more romantically involved.
Yeah, I wonder where they would hear that. Where would they hear that? Well, certainly production wouldn't. Well, they could, I guess, spread rumors for drama's sake, but I think it's more likely that what would happen is like Mel and Dana are connecting, right? And then they tell someone else that's unconnected. Like, who could I see being told about that information? Like Dana tells Brittany or something, who isn't connected to any of that stuff. And then Brittany tells Haley, and then Haley tells, and that's what she's talking about. But I don't know. I don't know what she's talking about in terms of information. But it is true. They are connecting.
Then they're like letting on. There's lots of receipts. Not from me.
Anything that anybody does is going to come to light.
Okay, receipts. Usually that's referring to texts, right? So maybe it is texts. I don't know. But more generally, receipts, like some kind of evidence or something. But honestly, I hear people talk about receipts when they don't have receipts. They're just, it's like when people use the word literally when it's not literally. Receipts have become this word to say there's 100% proof, and then you actually ask, and there is not 100% proof. They heard something, who heard something, and everyone misinterpreted, telephone. Anyway, so that's that part. But who knows? Maybe there is proof, but I don't know. Anyway, so then, but even if they were connecting, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're planning on breaking up with their partners. So I don't know what the big scandal is exactly. Anyway, but then Marie says, well, anything that, that happened is going to come to light, which is true because eventually they'll watch the show. But I think more what she's referring to is once we get back together with our original partner, we'll find out, right? Because if they break up with us, then we'll know, right? At least I think that's what she's referring to, which is a great way of approaching this if you're Marie. It's just like, I don't want to get into the receipts and the rumors and stuff. I'm just going to wait until I meet up with Mel and we'll talk about it.
No matter what it is.
There's something in the darkness, hiding in the heartless now.
I'm like shaking.
X is where we mark this. Watch it while it all burns down.
The music is too loud. And why is it happening here? I don't mind it if it's, it's something happens and it's the end of the conversation or the end of the edit anyway, and then the song, at least the lyrics kick in, right? But I'm having to fight through the lyrics and the music just to hear the reality of the reality TV show. I mean, something's happening right now. And I think an editor got clever and it's fucking annoying.
I'm gonna I don't really know how to take that right now.
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
How do you sleep at night?
I think you deserve better.
Secrets.
Okay, ignoring the stupid intrusive music, for Haley to say that, I think that's taking it a little far. I mean, you don't know. You deserve better. Everything depends on the agreement going into the trial marriages between the original couples as to how far they were going to go. On the surface, they're all saying they're willing to take it all the way in the trial marriage. They are married to each other, and they're going to they're not just friends. They're not trial friends. They're trial marriages. So that's on the surface, but clearly that's not the actual case, right? We've even heard some of them say they weren't going to do that. And so everything depends on that. So if Dana told Megan that she wasn't going to give the trial marriage an actual shot, then yeah, she's a jerkface. That's cheating. But if there was no conversation, which I'm guessing a fair amount of them don't have any conversation about it, or it's not clear, then it's not cheating. You're doing what you said you were going to do, and you're doing it, and the other person can do it too. That's the whole fucking point. You're on the show. It's the ultimatum. It's the trial marriage. So it all just stems from that. But even if there was an agreement between Mel and Marie, and Mel broke that, if I were in Haley's shoes, I wouldn't say you deserve, you should break up, is kind of what she's saying, I would just say like, wow, this is tough, how are you feeling, or something, instead of declaring something. It is a little tip, because if you're a friend, if your friend comes to you complaining about their partner, which is, often a scenario that we run into, avoid making declarative statements like, I always hated him, because they could be together for the rest of your friendship. And that's always going to be hanging out there. Also, you might want to clarify or modify your own feelings, because if you're only hearing about the negative side, then yeah, you're going to hate him. So you have to kind of counterbalance it somehow. But anyway, Haley's being nice.
You look
Very angry, but.
yeah.
Haley came up to me, and she basically told me that she has proof that Mel and Dana are fucking. And this is, mind you, like the last 5 minutes.
Huh. Well, okay. Huh. That wasn't what we saw in the edit. What Haley was saying was that they were, maybe that's code word connecting. And everything stems from the agreement that they had. Were they clear or not? Did they say, I'm not going to have sex with my trial wife, or not? Because if there was no agreement, then on the show, that's not, you don't necessarily have to have sex with your trial wife, but that's definitely on the table as an option. So everything stems from that, and I'm trying to account for all possibilities here. If Mel told Marie that she was not going to have sex with whoever she matched up with in the trial marriage, then it would explain why Marie would be upset. Now, maybe Marie is thinking, we did have an agreement that might be on the table, but I was hoping it wouldn't happen. Or even if I imagine that it might, just being faced with that knowledge is hurtful and terrifying and disorienting, So I don't know exactly where she's coming from, but.
And I'm really angry.
Yeah.
The fact that I can feel the way that I felt while she's playing house. Fuck that.
Yeah, I could see that being particularly contrasting, right? That Marie was, and this is further confirmation that the suffering and the ups and downs emotionally that Marie was going through in the beginning of the trial marriage had to do mostly with missing Mel. And so she's saying, when I think about what I was going through, I think what she's saying, I was thinking about Mel all the time, I was missing her. And to think that while I was doing that, she was having a good time with someone else, that's particularly hurtful.
And the fact that Dana sat next to me.
Again with the music. We're watching a show. We're watching you don't have to insert your stupid ass song to make us feel something. Like, there's real shit happening. Like, you want to use the soundtrack to manufacture feelings. There's enough here. You don't have to do that, and it's distracting. It's like editors have to justify their job by doing shit like this, or musical directors have to insert themselves constantly. I'm worthy. I'm justifying my salary. It's annoying.
Am I an idiot? Well, We're gonna find out because I'm literally not going to bed tonight without talking to Mel.
Okay. So, yeah, I think that's a great idea, actually. Will the show let them? I don't know.
I'm not sitting on this. I need to know, like, immediately.
You have every right. Go get your answers.
I will literally fucking go on every single floor screaming her name.
Okay. And that's confirmation that they're all staying in the same building because it seemed that way, right? I wonder why she would say that. What is she saying? Is she saying if I call her on her cell phone and she doesn't answer, then I'm going to demand that she talk to me or something? Like, that's not a good thought to have to force. Anyway.
I will find her ass because that's bullshit.
Is it bullshit? That's the question. Did you have an agreement? And I'm going to assume that they did because Marie seems like a smart, stand-up person. So I'm going to assume that they did have an agreement that Mel said to Marie that she would not get together with anybody. And Marie is reacting out of a rational betrayal. But I don't know.
I spoke to Dana, and she is so happy to have you as her trial wife. And she's saying that you guys, all you do is think about your exes, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, fuck yeah, like, good. You guys have each other.
Okay, so we're hearing from Marie that Dana was saying that the two of them, all they do is think about their exes. And I wouldn't be surprised by that. It would make sense, right? They're not showing us that in the edit, at least much. So there's that. Also, Dana could just be saying that to throw up a smokescreen of some sort. But I would imagine all of them are doing that. Aside from Marita seems like she could have already broken up with Ashley in her mind. But the rest of them, even if they're the ultimatum receiver, they are absolutely in love and in a relationship. So just to be separate from them would do something. I mean, one of the couples said that they haven't slept apart from each other since they met. Yeah, we're hearing that. And that's further evidence that although Mel and Dana have connected, at least as it progressed through the few weeks, they're not planning on being together. But anyway, so let's see how this goes.
After this lovely conversation, Haley comes up to me and she tells me that there's proof that you and Dana are fucking.
Okay, now I don't know if they're going to show us in the edit, but if there was an agreement or not, I would imagine we would hear something from Mel. That she would say, well, we had an agreement that was an option, so, or I thought that was on the table for both of us because that's the whole point. I mean, not sex, but to try the marriage. Or will Mel say something different? Let's see.
I can only hear this shit from you. So I'm asking you, have you guys fucked? Are you lying?
Okay, so Mel shook her head, saying no. We don't know, and we saw them connecting chemistry, physically making out, and then they would retreat to the bedroom, so we don't know what happened in there. Maybe they just played Scrabble. It didn't sound like it. Then we saw or heard the moans of passion. Maybe that was just stock footage that Netflix had. But by implication, they were saying that Dana and Mel were having sex. Now, maybe it was just a show they were watching. Or I will say that they haven't shown us any of that security camera of like bed stuff, which is neither here nor there. To me, it just depends on how the cast would feel about it. But I fully expected that to be a theme because it certainly was before. So I would guess that Netflix wouldn't be that manipulative to heavily imply that Dana and Mel were having sex. But also, it depends on what you mean by sex, right? Or fucking. I'm trying to avoid the F word because it'll get you flagged on YouTube if you say it in the beginning of a video, which is kind of funny. So I don't know where I am in the video right now. I don't, but it's so a little peek behind the scenes. I think Stacy, she does all the stuff, so she'll tell me that you can swear a fair amount, but you can't swear in the first 5 minutes or a couple minutes or something. I think it's because, this is my guess, maybe it's officially explained, but I think it's because they don't want kids exposed to swear words, even though they're exposed to violence and horribleness and news, all the time. But God forbid they hear the word fuck. Oh no. Anyway, so they figure as YouTube that if a minor, a child, were to watch a video that involved the word fuck, in all likelihood they would click out of the video because it's probably more oriented towards adults and more interesting to adults and not interesting to children. So the child won't hear the word fuck. Like, right? That'd be the only reason why, right? I don't know. Anyway, so she asked, so it all depends on how they define fucking. Marie is asking Mel, did you fuck her? Right? Isn't that what she said?
So I'm asking you, have you guys fucked?
Right. Have you guys fucked? So is this a Bill Clinton situation? I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Smash cut to it being revealed later and play the Curb Your Enthusiasm song. Weep, boom. Anyway, so is this Mel saying, well, we did stuff, but we haven't fucked technically or something? I don't know. It all depends on what happened behind closed doors. If Mel has done stuff, even if it's not technically according to their definition fucking, then at this point Mel should probably say something, right? It's like, well, we haven't done that, but we have done some other things. We saw them making out. Like Mel could say, well, no, but we've made out and stuff. But that was the agreement that we had. Or are we actually seeing evidence that Mel is guilty and knows she's guilty and is obscuring the reality because she knows that she did have an agreement with Maria? Everything depends on the agreement that they had.
Are you lying? Are you really saying no? That didn't happen?
I'm saying no.
Now, Mel isn't saying much. Now, that's kind of Mel's way. She's not yammerer like I am. But it's also a little sus that she's not saying, she's not clarifying at all. Now, maybe she's thinking, this is a conversation we need to have at another time. I will say, as a side note, I'm glad that apparently Marie didn't have to go floor by floor and screaming Mel's name. It looks like it was just sort of arranged, right? So, and it's also nice that they could do so outside of their apartments where their other partners are.
So where is that coming from? Because I am so fucking triggered.
I don't talk to Haley. I don't know anything. I don't know. And how would she know anything about any proof of what's going on in my apartment?
I don't know. She has always been very transparent.
Okay. I was wondering if Marie would reveal her source of information. I could see her saying, I don't want to get anyone else involved. I'm just going to tell you someone told me some stuff. But she mentions Haley, and then Mel says, I don't know how she would know. And yeah, that is kind of a question.
Is this going to soil everything? Because I don't know if I believe any of this. I don't know what I believe. I'm so...
We do have a connection.
Okay.
Okay, so Mel is saying, yeah, but we do have a connection. I'm glad that she's at least acknowledging some of the reality.
What does that mean?
Dana and I have kissed. And I was going to tell you when I was with you.
Okay, so that's evidence of what I was wondering about, if Mel is just like in this moment in the middle of the night that she was planning on having more space. Because, one of the worries that you would have legitimately if you're Mel is that, okay, I could tell her the whole thing right now, but then we're back with our trial marriages, and it'll be like a week or so before we can really like have 24/7 to actually like process all this, and it's going to be a lot to process. So I don't want to drop any bombs and then walk away and then have Marie spin out of control without me there to explain things. So I could see that being the case. But at the very least, Mel feels like she has to acknowledge something, I think. So maybe she does plan on telling if they did get together sexually. But anyway, she is revealing that they did kiss. Again, the way the show is formatted, it's assumed they're all going to kiss, right? They're all married. That's the thing, right? But clearly that's not. And, you know, people don't have to. But the way that Mel is talking, it's like it's a surprise. Anyway, so for Mel, she's saying, we have connected and we have kissed, and I was going to tell you later, but I'll tell you now so that you don't walk away and hear things indicating that we kissed. So it's possible that Mel, anyway, I don't know, we did hear that, those moans, that's the moans, the Zapruder tape.
And that's the extent of it.
If you're telling me and you're looking me in the eye, I will back you until the fucking end of time. But do not make me look like a fucking fool. Don't.
I hear you.
Okay, so it sounds like Marie is at least relatively okay with making out or kissing. She said kissing, which is different than making out, but maybe it's implied or something. But anyway, so it sounds like that was at least okay. I don't know. All right, well, that does it for that episode. I want to give a shout out to members who just signed up in terms of where I am at this point. While recording this, we have NM, who was a seed member. We have John Rong Eng. We have Vanessa S. And we have Glenika's Dream. Glenika's Dream and Evelina. You all just signed up today in my timeline. But Glenika's Dream and Evelina, you've been a member before. This isn't your first time around. And I also want to give a shout out to Lisa, who is a more deserving listener, upper, middle tier member. That's always enjoyable to see. And you joined, at least in my timeline, yesterday. So thank you so much for becoming a member, you new members, and take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.